to Tub Talks with Damon. And my very special guest in the tub today, all the way from Jersey, is Correy Aman. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, welcome to the tub. I'm so glad you're here.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here.
I love when I see people in this world experiencing life, experiencing purpose, experiencing pleasure.
Yes.
And I love from your social media content how you're leading and showing us how to do that.
Yes.
But before I ask you about that, Correy, I want to know, what do you like most about your body?
What I like most about my body is that it's ever changing, and it allows me to accept it and its many incarnations.
Okay.
Especially as I get older. I used to be so hard on it when I was younger. I went back and forth between being hairy, being not hairy, like, you know, what do people like? It was all about like how other people perceived me versus like how I perceived myself. So now I'm kind of just taking ownership of like how I feel about it. And right now, in this moment, I could say I feel pretty good about it.
Good. What has led you to be able to feel good or better about your physical body today?
Doom scrolling.
Okay,
I know
walk me through this.
I know it's funny to say that, but you know, looking through social media, oftentimes we try to compare ourselves to a certain body type, or we start feeling bad about ourselves for not looking like that and not appreciating that it's all curated and, you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So in doom scrolling, I doom scrolled, I think, myself to death, and I realized, you know what, this isn't real. This is like, you know, we all have issues, no matter if you look, you know, like you have a six-pack or whatever, we all have something, and in that moment, I realized that I should rewire my brain around it, and so I did.
Ooh, so I love what you're saying, that most of how you feel is going to be depending on how you wire your brain.
Yes.
And you can be intentional and conscious about how you do that.
Yes.
So not to doom scroll and compare and despair.
Yeah.
Right? But so what's the alternative? How do you do that? If you're going through Instagram or something now and you see somebody with, you know, a six-pack, how do you rewire?
No, it's really, I do one or two things. I either am like, I just keep scrolling, or I got to a point where like, okay, I appreciate that. I mean, it looks good. I'm gonna like it, and not feel like a less of a person because I don't look like that. Mm-hmm. So, I guess I'm trying to give appreciation where appreciation is due, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But so you can extend appreciation for physical form without diminishing your own.
Yes.
It doesn't mean someone's better than.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
I think these vessels we have are beautiful.
Yeah.
They're so amazingly beautiful.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I'm attracted to every person, but I can recognize the fundamental beauty of the human form.
Definitely.
And I wish more people could understand that, like, all right, it doesn't have to be either or.
Yeah.
So would you say that things have changed culturally or in our community that now allow you to appreciate your hair, your body hair, more than when you were growing up?
Well, I have to give that credit to my partner.
Okay.
Because like when we first met, I was, you know, smooth as a baby's bottom. And, you know, I think when I started growing hair, he was like, wait a minute, you're hairy? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, why do you shave it? And I was like, well, because, you know, I mean, I didn't have a real answer for him. So basically, he's just like, let it grow out. And I did. And I realized that, you know, I like it.
Yeah.
So
and he likes it.
Yeah, and he likes it.
And a lot of people like it.
Yes. So I just, since then, have never, not to mention, it was always a pain in the ass anyway, when it grew back. And I was trying to keep up with an idea of, you know, what I thought gay men wanted, you know, and it was talking about it now and thinking about it now, it's like, oh God, I can't believe that. But you know, it was the headspace that I was in. So now, like, yeah, I appreciate all of it now. It's just like, I'm hairy, whatever.
Yeah. And do you find, and not that this is even relevant, but do you find that the more you embrace your body hair, do you find that more and more people are attracted and really want to also celebrate your body hair?
I definitely have that.
Does that surprise you?
It did at first, but now being in New York, I mean, it's like the city of hairy guys, and like I'm from Dallas, Texas, so it's different. It's different there. It wasn't as celebrated. Even like, you know, being uncut was like not a thing. Like people weren't into that, and it was like a very like, okay, then I guess I should just like not even be who I am. But once I moved here, I noticed that those things started to be appreciated. And that is, well, one of the many, many things that I love about New York. But now I do notice that that is more celebrated as far as my body is concerned.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 44.
Okay. And how old were you when you started to come out and look at your own body or receive some negative feedback from gay people?
Well,
I
would say my late 20s.
Okay.
Yes, because I was very closeted before. Not that I was doing a good job at like hiding it. I was super gay, but like, you know, I was scared, and my family's religious, and it was just a lot of those things. My family accepted me a lot better than I thought, and that was surprising and took a load off. But then after that, I had to, I lost a girlfriend because of it. You know, she accused me of lying to her, and I get it, but it was very painful. And yeah, and once I entered the gay community for real, that's when I started nitpicking at like every part of myself, because it was like, okay, I want that guy to like me, I want that guy to like me. How do I, you know, alter or edit myself to get that to happen? So that was really like my main goal was to get people like me.
Did it work?
Yes and no. Yes for them, because I was pretty good at, you know, doing that. And no, because it just pushed my self-esteem further deep into myself. So I was able to always do things to please people, but I was not pleasing myself. So
what were the consequences of pleasing other people ahead of Korrey?
It's built up a resentment in myself, and it's not even about other people, though unfortunately I may have projected that onto other people, but it was always about me being disappointed in myself that I didn't do then what I wanted to. It's not too late, obviously, but you know, knowing that now, it's a lot different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Okay.
And I think, you know, that is so universal, sadly, but I really appreciate you naming that.
Yeah.
Right? Because the pressure is there.
Mm-hmm.
And even today, when we come out, even in accepting families or accepting communities, I think for many, many queer people, especially queer gay men, there is still that internal, insidious message: you should be different.
Yeah.
And if you want to be liked, if you want to be fucked, if you want to be powerful, you should alter all these things about yourself to be someone you're not.
Yes.
And the problem is, you articulate, even if you can do that, even if you do accomplish that, it's not real.
Yeah.
And you're not really with yourself. You're not really showing up.
Yeah. You're not being true to yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I was the king of that. You know, I would, up until last year, I mean, I would even say last year, it's been basically a year of like discovering the patterns that I was participating in. And it's also been like, you know, I have a therapist that I see every week, or a phone call every week. And, you know, I've discovered these things through him, obviously, but also in moments of self-reflection, I'm in my head a lot, and I like to think I'm self-aware, but I think that being self-aware for me in the past used to be my downfall, because I would make it about other people versus myself, and now it's gotten to a point where I'm like, it's me. Like, I'm the one in control. I can change anything I want, and I'm putting all this pressure on these outside forces when it's really me. Like, I'm letting it happen because I'm scared.
So that, what we may say, locus of control,
Yeah,
instead of being externalized,
yeah.
you're taking back.
I'm
And
taking
now,
back, yes.
your process is taking back your power.
Yes.
That
Yes.
this is, most of how we feel is going to be an inside job.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know,
Wow.
it's not easy, but I actually really am loving the process, because it's opening me up to like who I really am, and that's always been the goal, is to get there. Because up until this point, it's just been, I've been a version of myself for countless, I mean, my family, my friends, even my partner, you know. So it's about stopping the edit. And you know, I think a lot of it had to do with just being afraid, being scared of not being accepted for who I really am. So.
And it sounds like now you're accepting and loving and learning to love who you really are.
And I mean, it's true what they say. It does start with you, and so I'm starting with myself. And you know, there was a period, I would say, over the past year where I did a lot of brooding. Just like around the house, just everywhere. I was always like, just, I don't know, depressed maybe, because I couldn't figure out why I was so unhappy. Like, why am I so unhappy? And, you know, of course, it does affect a relationship, because, you know, my partner is basically like, you know, he gets worried because he's like, what is it? I mean, obviously he goes straight for, you know, it's him, maybe I'm unhappy with him. And it's like, no, I mean, maybe for a while I thought it was that, but it isn't. He's actually great. It's just that I'm unhappy with myself. And so being unhappy with myself makes everything else, you know, unhappy, I guess.
Yeah.
So
the changing or the shifting comes from the wiring.
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Your own, and I love this, thinking about what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Seeing if you're thinking in a way that's diminishing your quality of life, your relationship.
Yeah.
There's ways to look at that.
Yeah.
And maybe shift that.
Yeah, and I don't have all the tools, but I do have the will to change, and I think that's the most important part.
Right there, folks. The will to change.
Yeah.
That's the most important part, right? We don't have to have every answer.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing most of the time.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to learn, willing to love, and that is not going to lead me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And that's the love part is the part, because I think for all these years I haven't loved myself. And oh my God, I guess I never actually said that out loud, but I guess I haven't. And so, there was a time when I did. And I remember that time. I was full of, creativity and ideas, and I even made a film with some friends of mine, like back in the 2010, 11, 12. And I shot it all on my iPhone because I was trying to do something innovative and new at that time. And, it was a wonderful experience. They were not actors, but they all did such an I couldn't have asked for a better cast. There was no script. It was all improv based on the direction that I gave, and everyone did such a great job. But then after that period, for some reason, things changed, and I just, I guess, went into survival mode.
Was that correlated with the coming out process?
I think it was. Now when I look at the footage, I still have it, by the way. I look at the footage and I'm realizing that I had a whole different plot in my head about what it was about. And it was basically about my character, how he was coping after a breakup and with his friends or whatever. But as I was watching the footage over the years since, I'm realizing, oh my God, I inadvertently made a movie about coming out. It was great. Just seeing how, I guess, my subconscious played a part into it, and there's even a sex scene with my ex-boyfriend that we had just started talking again because we were actually friends. And we broke up, or then we became boyfriends and we broke up, and then years went by, but yeah, so.
And then you directed a sex scene?
Then I directed a sex scene.
Okay.
Yeah. It was great. It was great
Uh-huh.
because it was like, wow, I remember this now.
Wow.
But it was great.
Wow.
But we both had the same coming out thing, so I think it was really a coming out story for both of us because there were scenes that I filmed with him that without me that involved a gay story. So the other characters, played a part, but ultimately I think what I actually made was a coming out story, and I'm starting to realize that now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so that was a time that now you say that you can remember feeling good, feeling happy.
Yes.
Then something dimmed.
Yes, something between, because I lived in New York. I moved to New York initially in 2008, but then I was living with my cousin in the Bronx. We weren't really we're not close or whatever. He is super religious, obviously is not into me, my lifestyle or whatever, but he was nice enough to let me stay with him, and his mom and my mom are sisters, and they have this whole other crazy sibling rivalry thing, competition. But his mom didn't know that he was actually he shot porn in his apartment, straight porn.
Uh-huh.
And so he was he had his own little porn studio, and I was like, oh my God, this religious guy who's trying to berate me about my lifestyle of shooting porn. Okay, whatever. And I'm not one to I'm not gonna tell his mom or whatever. That's between them or whatever. I thought it was great, but he judged me so hard for my stuff, and it's okay. So ultimately, we couldn't live together, and I moved to East Harlem, And then I couldn't afford the apartment, so I eventually had to go back to Dallas. And then I came back to New York in 2012 for good. And I think that's when things started, because between 2012 and 2015, I call that the Great Depression era, because I was literally surviving just by the skin of my teeth. It was just like I was from one place to another. There were times where I went hungry. I didn't have food to eat. It was bad. Obviously I was having tons of sex, which was great, but I found myself in situations that I couldn't believe that I found myself in, and there were a lot of low points. And then I met Kevin, my partner, at the end of it. And that sort of, there was a lot of learning curve in that, because, I'd never been in a long-term relationship before. And so there were a lot of growing pains and, but I think, next month will be our 10-year anniversary. And it's been a wild ride, because I had a lot to learn, not only about myself, but also about him. But because in a relationship, you kind of have to go back and forth with that, even though you kind of want to be selfish and make it all about you. But but yeah, it was those 3 years were really, really tough. And I don't think that I've fully gotten out of feeling like I need to survive. I'm so used to surviving. Okay, when I'm gonna get my next meal, when am I gonna get this, when I'm gonna get that. I lost myself in that process. Mm-hmm. And so now that I feel secure, finally, it's come back to me. Yeah. So reclaiming that, reclaiming who I was before everything happened. So.
Wow. So during that time, were we talking survivor sex?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that involves sometimes a lot of compartmentalizing, mm-hmm. and people pleasing.
Yeah.
And your needs coming in last.
Yes. So, it was, I'm not going to say that it wasn't a learning experience. It was. And I had a lot of great sex too. Mm-hmm. But it was just I remember feeling, I don't know, afterwards I would just feel like shit. And it was, I dated a few guys here and there, and they didn't last. Those relationships didn't last because I wasn't ready for them. Even though a couple of the breakups that I had really, really hurt, because I really liked them, and I just didn't know how to reciprocate. I think one or two, and thought that I wasn't as interested as they were, because I didn't act like I was that interested. And I was in my own head. It wasn't really about them. It was just about I drank a lot and did drugs, and so I wasn't really thinking about them, which is bad for a relationship, or if you're dating somebody. So it was always about partying and being, getting drunk, and so I wasn't able to focus my attention into those relationships. And so I had to admit that to myself. For years though, I, of course, was a victim, and I can't believe it happened, and they cheated on me and these things. But if, in reality, I didn't give them the security emotionally that they needed. So,
You can look back on that and
Yeah.
say that was a two-way street.
yeah,
Yeah.
so,
Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah. So lots of learning. And it
Yeah.
sounds like this past year has been lots of reclaiming, honoring, putting Korrey first.
Yes.
Your needs, your
Yes.
your mental, body, mind, spirit. The way you look at your body, the way you express yourself has
Yeah.
come first.
yes.
Maybe for the first time or one of the first times in your life.
I would say the first time.
Wow.
Yeah, I would say the first time.
Okay.
And it has caused, I'm not going to say it hasn't caused friction of some kind in my relationship, because at times he doesn't understand it. But, I'm also learning how to communicate better. I grew up in a family, we didn't talk about things and we didn't communicate in a way that was understandable. It was always sweep under the rug, or that didn't happen, and if we did talk about it, it was almost kind of a curated conversation, if that makes any sense. It was more surface. There was no deep level conversation about patterns and any of that, because we just weren't equipped to talk about those things. His family, on the other hand, is completely different. They talk over each other. They're very loud. They, scream and they fight, and they all love each other regardless. And it's just this whole different world that I was like, whoa, I don't know if I can handle this, because I'm so used to being quiet. But in being in this relationship, they have taught me to be more open and honest. Granted, they have a separate issue where they say too much. Sometimes they'll go over the line, and you're like, well, I don't know if I, and that has gotten them into trouble many times, Kevin especially. But there's a line, and I'm learning how to ride it. I don't want to be a closed off person. I want to be open. I want to be honest, because I was always the one who wanted to be. And if I was honest and direct, it would be disrespectful. So I just learned to be quiet and not talk about it. Meanwhile, it's eating me up inside, and because I'm the only one who wants truth and honesty, and everyone else would just rather not talk about it. So it's been hard, because unfortunately, me and my sister are estranged at the moment because of that very thing. Because I want to talk about something that happened between us last year, and she has basically shut down and has moved on with her life, and it never happened, and she just can't handle talking about it. And it's just I've gotten to a point where in the past I've given her a pass, and I'm like, okay, whatever, she's my sister, we'll just move on. But it's been 20 years of it, and so now I'm just I can't accommodate it anymore. And it's not easy. It's fucking hard, because there are times where I'm I miss her, and but I really have to protect myself at the same time, because it's very toxic. She drinks a lot, she more than me, and when she gets that way, she gets really mean, and she says things that are verbally abusive, and then the next day she won't remember it happened, and it's but I'm still left with the very mean things that she said, and it's like, last night you told me you didn't love me. So it's just things like that. And it's like, okay, so we all, she's got past trauma that I don't know if she's probably dealt with. I don't know, but it's bad. And she has chosen over the years to deal with it in these ways. And so I just can't accommodate it anymore because I have my life to think about and to, I'm reclaiming things in my life, and I just can't accommodate someone who doesn't want to acknowledge or take accountability for things.
Right.
So,
right. Setting those boundaries,
Yeah.
setting those standards of what you will tolerate and what you will not for your own health.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so hard to do that.
It's very
It's
hard.
so necessary.
Yeah.
It's so painful sometimes.
Yeah, it's really painful because it has caused a lot of issues, particularly when it comes to holidays, because it's like, okay, and unfortunately, it was a situation that involved Kevin. It was the three of us, and, she's mad at us over it, and frankly, we didn't do anything. She was really drunk and caused a scene, and I like to make a little joke about it, but I would say it was her masterpiece. Like, she's done things before where I'm like, okay, like she was drunk or whatever, but this wasn't just about me anymore. She involved someone else who, she involved my partner, and now she doesn't appreciate that she's put me in a position. And, we helped her husband and baby. She moved here. We financially supported them, despite our own financial struggles, and, they owed us a lot of money, and she caused that scene, and now she's, playing the victim card, and it's fine, but I just, knowing what I know and how everything played out, it's just really hard because I want to tell her, I want to sit down with her and talk to her about the ripple effects of that behavior, but she can't handle an honest conversation because she takes it as an attack versus as someone who loves her, who's trying to move past something. So, it's heartbreaking. I mean, honestly, we are heartbroken over it because it was something that didn't need to happen, and now we're in this position where Christmas is coming up, and Kevin's all like, we need to solve this, we need to fix this, and I'm just like, I would if she actually accepted that. So it's like one of these things, because my mom is dead set on us all getting together as a family, and it's like, okay, how do I fix this? But then that puts pressure on me to fix everything, and it's like, why do I always have to carry the weight? So, eventually we'll figure it out. I know that, I'm confident about that. It's just, it's heartbreaking.
It is.
So
it's sad, it's heartbreaking, and I'm glad you're aware, like, this, you did not create this, you did not ask for this, you did not consent to this. This is something right now you're prioritizing. Your health. Your emotional safety. And sometimes that means saying no. Which, again, there's no easy, sometimes it's gonna be painful what you do or what you don't do. But it sounds like from what you said earlier, when you lead with protecting and loving Korrey and putting your needs ahead of people pleasing, that has often turned out well for you, better for you, even if the process is painful and heartbreaking. I'm sorry you're in that position. And I know, we're sitting here, people have watched this all year round, but we're filming this at the holidays. And I think a lot of people, especially this year in 2025, are in a position for various reasons where they cannot emotionally safely be with family members because of turbulence or trauma or Trump. Or, something that is making it change.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the space in which people start new traditions or, start spending holidays in healthy ways with different people or creative family.
Yeah, definitely. I think the extra part of it also is that, I have a nephew, he's, turning 5 in January, and it's like, I'm not even a part of his life, because of this, and it's really, really tough. I have to hear, how he's doing through my mom, which is fine. At least I can hear something. I know that she would like to just like move on, and that can be very easily done. Of course, we met for lunch in June for the first time in a year, and the conversation didn't go the way that I expected it to, and I was very disappointed by it because she approached the subject briefly, and basically she was just updating me on her life, which is fine. I want to know what's going on, but she basically said, Corey, I know you want to talk about what happened, but you have a tendency to be like very aggressive when you talk about things like that. And my response to that was basically, the only reason why that is because no one wants to talk about anything, so I'm bottling it up. And so when the subject does come up, I'm very passionate because I've been going over this conversation in my head for months. And so it's like, it comes out, and, I could try to cable that, but at the same time, it's like, there's been many times where I've been on the other end of a phone call with her, and she's just yelling at me, and I'm just taking it. So for her to say that for me was absolute bullshit. But she can't handle the hard stuff, and not everyone can.
Yeah.
And I have just gotten to a point where I can. I used to be that way. I used to be where I was like, no, I don't want to talk about that because that's the environment I grew up in. But being in this relationship where I'm forced to talk about things, not like against my will, but like he wants to talk about things that are bothering me, and I'm like, oh God, why? But then it gets me to talk. And therapy has helped a lot, but the pandemic was the shift, and that's when I started this new journey, because unfortunately I had an accident. Kevin was out of town. I was like, oh, I'm gonna party, because I have the weekend to myself, and I'm just gonna do it. And I did. And I went to Stonewall to meet a drag queen friend of mine, and we hung out, taking shots or whatever. I had done, did I do something before I left the house? Yeah, I might have done some coke before I left the house. And then I wasn't even particularly drunk. We were going to the Monster. We were heading over there. And I remember, because we were on the second level, we were walking down the stairs, and I don't know what happened. Somehow I missed the last few steps and I fell and I hit my head on the concrete floor. And I guess it knocked me out. My friend was like, I thought you were dead because there was like a pool of blood like coming from your head. And I was like, oh my God. So I came to, and there were these ambulance people around me. It was crazy. And they put me on a stretcher, took me to the ER. And it was just as the pandemic was starting. So the hospital was like full of like people in the ER, just like coughing and yelling. There was one guy who just kept screaming. I don't know what was going on, but my friend came with me, held my hand as they gave me like the biggest shot I think I've ever had. It hurt like hell. I guess to make sure I didn't have any swelling in my brain or something like that. Unfortunately, I got scared because all I could think about was like, oh my God, what is Kevin gonna think? What is Kevin gonna think? And so I left the ER. We kind of escaped, which was not smart, but I was just like, I gotta get home. That's all I could think about. I gotta get home.
So you left without being medically discharged?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So I, went home, went to bed.
Was anyone else with you?
No, it was just me. And obviously I woke up the next day, thank God, and there was blood all over my pillow. And they stitched me. I did get stitched up before I left. And Kevin called because he was on his way home that morning, and I told him what happened. He was like, he was like, oh my God. And after that, he got back. We went back to the hospital to make sure I didn't have a concussion and all these things. I was fine. And basically, after that, for some reason, my anxiety spiked. It like went through the roof. Like every little thing I thought I was gonna die because I just was freaking out. And I don't know if it was because something I hit my head maybe triggered something, I don't know, but then we got COVID and it was just a crazy few months. And then after the fourth time I went to the Cal and Lord clinic, the doctor was probably like, Korrey, there's nothing wrong with you. You probably just need to see a therapist.
You thought you were medically dying from the head trauma?
I thought that any little thing that if my heart beat a certain way or if I felt shortness of breath or whatever, but it was really, I got checked out like 3 times and he was like, I think you just have anxiety. I think that you need to, so he recommended me, a queer therapist. And it's been a journey ever since. But I remember my very first session, I don't know, I guess I really needed to talk about things. So I was a lot more open than I'd ever been with anybody. And he was like, wow, you really, you told me a lot. And he's like, normally people don't open up that quickly. And I was like, I don't know, I guess I needed that because I'm surrounded by, with my family who didn't want to talk about those things. So it's nice to be able to talk about that.
I'm grateful you're talking here about this.
Yeah. So
wow.
It's been, so the accident was really I like to say that it was I knocked myself awake because I had been, just kind of going through motions, just kind of sleeping through life. And after I hit my head, things changed. So 2020 was the beginning, but now between 2024 and now is when the real work is actually starting to happen.
Well, so that's interesting because I think I've become aware of you and your message.
Yeah.
Sometime in 2024, I think before I contacted you.
Yeah.
Because from my perspective, it's wow, here's this really enthusiastic handsome, beautiful person who is so passionate and full of love for the horror genre.
Yes.
And posts about it and talks about it and is funny about it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, that's where I started like, wow, that's such cool energy.
Yeah.
What was it about the horror genre that attracted you, that drew you to this passion?
I think the thing about horror movies, and I think, a lot of queer men who are horror people can agree with, is that we see ourselves in the final girls because they're constantly surviving in a world that's, trying to hurt them. So there's a certain attraction to it, as for me, and it is comforting. I can't explain it, but it's comforting to, especially if I've seen the movie many times and it's just like revisiting an old friend or whatever. But
which ones stand out for you as go-tos?
Well, I would say the go-tos usually, well, at least for me, are the ones that I started watching when I was a teenager. So it's like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, like those like late 90s horror films.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's interesting, they were deconstructing a lot.
Yes.
I mean, I love those too.
Yes.
They were sort of like doing a different take on the traditional horror genre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which led me to the other ones.
Uh-huh.
So it was like, okay, well now I'm gonna watch Halloween. Now I'm gonna watch these other ones, and it just kind of snowballed from there. And I watch a lot of. I mean, I like I like a lot of gore and things like that. A lot of people don't like that, but it's just one of those. I look forward to October every month, and not that that's the only time I watch them, but that's the time that I know it's going to be consecutive. And I don't know. I just get it brings out the kid in me. Like that's the other part of it. Like sometimes something will happen in the movie, or especially a movie I haven't seen, where I'm just like it makes me like giggle with glee because I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It's like it's amazing how certain movies can still make me have that reaction. So
what part of it inspires glee? Is it watching people get chopped into pieces?
I think when it's a really like inventive kill, or because most of the time it's some of them are so like campy and like ridiculous that you can't help but like enjoy like how silly it is, and that is really the part that gets me. It's like, oh my God, they know that that's going to make me squeal. Like that's just the part of it for me that I love the most.
Which franchise does that the most? Makes you squeal with? Because it's so out there. So campy.
I would say Evil Dead.
Okay.
Yeah, very gory, but they always throw comedy elements into it that are just over the top, and it's like, I love this. So that's actually the franchise I would say is probably my favorite.
So that's the one you visit, you come back to. It's comforting.
Yeah.
And so something about that character who perseveres.
Yes.
She goes, usually a female goes through everything. She sees everybody getting chopped, and she beats it in the end.
Yeah, everyone she knows always gets.
No matter what happens around her, she lives through it.
Yeah. And that's, I think for a while, I didn't realize it was about that, but it is. I mean, because you're literally, essentially, watching yourself survive.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Who is throwing what or chopping who around you. No matter which supervillain is coming at you.
Yeah.
You can escape.
Yeah.
You can live.
Yeah.
I think what's also cool about a lot of these franchises is that then there is another one.
Yeah.
It's not just a 2-hour movie that's like, okay, you never see this person again.
Yeah.
Then you see this person later in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes she's still dealing with the trauma of what happened in the first movie before she has to take on buzzsaws of the second movie.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like every generation has a scream queen. Mine is Sidney Prescott. And
Scream.
Yeah. And so like I grew up with her, just like someone else grew up with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah,
That was where I think of Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
Like for me as a kid, if you saw that name, you were like, oh, okay, people are gonna get chopped up.
Yeah. So, so Nev Campbell is our scream queen, my generation, and so they're coming out with the new one next year, and I am so excited because she wasn't in the last one. So she's coming back now. She has a daughter and a husband, and it's I'm just like, I can't wait. But like, so I'm guessing it's gonna kind of be the same thing. We're literally gonna grow up together, and I think that's one of the powerful things about every generation with horror films, or not. It doesn't even have to be horror. It could be. There are some franchises that you see the same people and you grow up with them as well.
What are some of the tropes that you find funny about the genre, about some of the things you see throughout the franchises?
I think that the tropes of the the horror getting killed, and like there's always a system. There's like the best friend who is slutty, who dies, and then there's the dumb jock guy who always gets killed. And it used to be where the black person died, but that doesn't happen anymore, which I love, because that was always like a thing.
I remember Scream 2 challenging that, right from the very
right
beginning.
from the very
Scream 2 is like,
Yeah.
are we doing this again?
Yeah.
And then of course the black guy gets killed right away.
Yes. And Scream 2 is actually probably one of my favorite sequels of all time, because I feel like it expanded on the first one in a way that was great. Not to mention it had other scream queens in it, like Sarah Michelle Gellar, who is another queer icon, and she dies in it, which is like a great scene. And she's in college, and like it's on a bigger scale, and there's two killers, and it's great. Yeah. And the soundtrack is great too.
Yeah, as a kid I loved it. I also, though, sort of just that implicit message that if you're slutty, if you have sex, you're gonna die. Because it was usually the virgin who was pure, who would live to see the next day.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not sure that was the best message for me to be taking in. But, I know they played with that.
They played with that.
Yeah.
And, I think those rules have been bent because now those characters don't necessarily have to die, but or at the very least they survive longer than they did before.
Right.
But another good trope is the chase scene. Like, I love a good chase scene, and I, right off the top of my head right now, I think the Sarah Michelle Gellar and I Know What You Do Last Summer, that was like the scene back then. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is like, they're playing like the cheesy, stalker music, and she's running in her dress, and like, it was so prolonged and so great that it's just been etched in my mind forever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as too much gore? Too much violence?
Well, I will say, I would say yes, but that's just my opinion. I would say that, do you know the Terrifier movies? So there's a trilogy of movies called The Terrifier, and the villain is Art the Clown. It's a clown.
Oh.
And it is brutal. Like, it even tested my limits of like what I can handle. Evil Dead rides the line perfectly for me. It's fucking disgusting and blood's everywhere. But this is like, wow, like they don't cut away from like the kills. And on some level, I appreciate it because it's practical effects. It's not CGI. It's like it takes you back to the old days when they were doing makeup and they didn't use computers. And that's the part that I appreciate the franchise for, is that it takes you back to those old like 70s, 80s horror movies where they made everything.
Wow.
But it's so, I watched all three of them, and I know it's really gruesome when even I have to look away. Like, I mean, yeah,
You're getting there.
Yeah, I'm like, oh God, okay, well that was a ride. So I am still undecided. I don't know if I'll ever revisit them, but they're brutal. They're very brutal.
What was the first gory horror film you remember seeing as a kid?
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
The very first
And
one.
who took you, or how did you see it?
It was on my own. It was at
wow.
home. I was in my bedroom. I think it was a Blu-ray, a blind buy, and yeah, I watched it alone in my room. My parents bought me a really big TV. I loved them for that. It was like, oh my God, it was big. It was huge. It was an open box item that my mom found at Best Buy, and she got it for me. It was very sweet.
Wow.
So I had a theater in my bedroom. It was great. I had my little surround sound. I hooked it up all myself. You knew I was watching a movie because I always had it turned all the way up, and my parents never complained about the noise. So yeah, Evil Dead, I remember watching it. I think I was sick, actually. I was in my bed sick, and I was laying down. The TV's like right in front of me, and I'm like watching it. And the whole time, I'm like, oh my God, how have I never seen this? What they were able to do in that movie as far as effects are astounding to me. I can't even believe it. So yeah, I remember falling in love. It was love at first sight.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Did they ever give you nightmares? Did they ever?
No.
No? Okay.
Surprisingly, no.
Okay.
I mean, it's, I would say it's probably only happened like a handful of times. And they weren't particularly bad nightmares. They were just, I was just running from something just like perpetually, and I never died or anything, so it was always just like, oh God, I would wake up, oh God, that was terrible, I'm so glad that wasn't real.
Wow.
But no, I don't really have nightmares.
Do you ever think about making your own?
I've thought about that many times. I have. That requires a lot that I am not sure I'm ready for yet.
Okay.
But no, I would love to make my own horror film someday. I would love to meet people that I could accomplish that with. So yeah, that would be great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So wait, I'm thinking back to like the blood from Stonewall Stairs, which are, by the way, very steep. I was just there with my friend Ingrid, and we were just commenting a couple weeks ago, like, these are steep stairs. How do these drag queens go up and down these stairs so quickly? Because they're so steep.
They're very steep.
But that sounds like a scene from one of the horror films you described, with the blood and everything coming out.
I can't believe that. I mean, a part of me was just like, you see that in movies all the time, where the blood's like coming out from like, them hitting the floor, and it's like, I guess I lived it. I lived it. So
it's great that. So I grew up loving daytime soap operas.
Oh my God.
Always from a kid. Always fascinated by them. And I think in retrospect, what they offered, and still offer to some degree, is also sort of the underlying story that the worst thing can happen to you
Yes.
and you can survive.
Yes.
You can get through. So Julie Williams, Vicky Lord,
Oh my God.
Rachel on Another World, Erica Kane, they would all just go through the worst fucking things that could ever happen to somebody, and they would just keep going through it and coming out stronger and smarter. And I think as a child, that was something that really appealed. Like, okay, no matter what happens to you in your life, you can come through it. You can live to see another day, to love, and not let the terrible things completely define you in your life. Yeah. So I think sometimes as queer kids we're drawn to these allegories and these different genres in different ways.
I never thought about that as far as soap operas, but my mom watched those all the time, so I, would see clips and things like that. But
they're over the, they can be over the top, over dramatic, but that's sort of the central theme throughout all of them.
Yeah,
it's like you can live through trauma.
Yeah. So I mean, this past October especially was a great month. It was a great month. There was probably only one movie that I was like, or two movies that I didn't like, but normally there's a lot more than two, because sometimes I do the thing where I wait until October to cram them all in, and so like I am watching things for the first time, but doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna love them. And so this year I did a thing where I watched some like over the course of the year, and I decided the ones that I wanted to rewatch and the ones that I didn't. So it was a solid month. I enjoyed pretty much everything I watched.
Do you prefer by yourself, or do you want Kevin to be there, or do you have certain people
Kevin
you enjoy it
doesn't
with?
like horror movies. So, but he'll watch some of them. Like he likes the more psychological, like ghost story ones, and he'll join me for those. But he surprisingly, to me, loves the Scream franchise.
Oh yeah.
So he'll watch those with me.
Well, it's very it's very character driven. And it's very clever. I think.
I think he likes the clever part. But like, I prefer to have like people. This year I did have guests. I would prefer to have a guest every night, but I had, I think, 4 or 5 nights where I had people over, and it was really nice because we got to gab and carry on, and it was laugh at things. It was great.
So that doesn't distract you from the experience and people are around you laughing or making fun of it?
It adds to it. Because it's like I'm very community based, so that's always something that I seek out. I haven't gotten to the level that I would like to yet, but I'm working on that.
Okay.
And specifically the queer community. And it was nice to have people. Years previous, I've had, one here, one there, but now living in Jersey, it's like people act like I live in Antarctica. So it's harder. It's harder.
I get that in Brooklyn sometimes.
It's harder to get people to come over, but it's an easy commute from where I am anyway. So I'm not necessarily deep in. I'm the Hudson River's right there. The city's right there. It's great.
It's like Brooklyn.
Yeah.
People in Manhattan think, oh, it's going to be, I need a passport to go there. No, you just need maybe a little time on the train, and that's it. It's faster than you think.
Yeah, and the bus is so nice too. You have your own personal heater or your air conditioning, and that's great. Comfortable. It's great.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful and grateful to the people who came. It's like they came from Brooklyn, Upper East Side, Bronx, that makes a boy feel special.
Excellent. You also recently entered a contest to meet Jamie Lee Curtis.
I did.
And one of the questions you were asked as someone who was going for this was who you would want to take with you to meet Jamie Lee Curtis. And your answer
was my dad.
How come?
You know, um, admittedly, me and my dad don't have the best relationship, but I think that there's a mutual respect that we have for each other. He had a gay brother, who unfortunately passed in 2013. One of the biggest regrets of my life, because I didn't really know him. I knew of him. I had brief interactions with him. Very, very vivacious, that one. His name was Bobby. And yeah, so my dad, I feel like, was always more accepting than I gave him credit for because of Bobby. My mom, I think, was concerned because she had gay friends in the 90s and not all of them survived.
Yeah.
So her motivation was, you can't be, it was out of fear. It wasn't necessarily about like God or anything like that. She just knew a lot of people who died of AIDS, and that was her main concern. And also, she wanted a grandchild and felt like she couldn't have one if I was gay. So, even though I've told her repeatedly I don't want kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that she would make my dad have conversations with me about it because she didn't want to do it. She thought if it came from him, then I would listen, and so I remember one conversation in particular in the car in the driveway, and you could tell my dad was very uncomfortable about even having to talk about it, and he basically said that being gay was not right, and these things, and it almost felt like he was reading from a script. Kind of felt manufactured in a way, and I kind of picked up on that. And I remember saying, Dad, I'll be okay, I'll be all right. And I think from then he's been different. I don't think he fully understands. I mean, most parents don't, but I think that he respects that I've always been good. There's nothing he's ever had to worry about me for. He doesn't really know about, those years that I talked to you about the drugs and the drinking, and it's, irrelevant. I feel I don't need to have that discussion with him, but specifically after Bobby died, he was very different towards me. And I often wonder if it's because Bobby's told him something. Because he would visit Bobby in the hospital all the time, and, I don't think Bobby probably knew about me, but we obviously never discussed it, but he would always make these comments when we would see each other about how well I was dressed and things like that. And I didn't really know Bobby was gay until we visited him once, and he took us somewhere in his car, and there was on his rear view mirror, like a rainbow unicorn thing hanging up in there. I was like, huh. And then when we got to where we were going, and we went to the boardwalk. He lived in Florida, Pensacola, and there were like these drag queens and like all these gay. We would walk by, and they'd be like, "Oh, Bobby," he'd be like, "Hey," he like knew everybody, and so I was like, "Huh, okay," and I was like, I don't know, 14, 15 at the time, so it was like a new. No, I take that back. I was like 21. And I just remember being like, oh my God, like I think that I have a gay relative and I don't know how to like go about like talking to him about this, and we never did. And next time I saw him was at a funeral of another one of his siblings, and by that time he was sick.
Was this HIV?
It was cancer.
Cancer.
Yeah. And then the next time after that was his funeral. So it was probably the best funeral. I mean, it's interesting to say that, but the church was filled with, well, there was family on one side, and then on the other side was everyone Bobby knew. And it was, I mean, they were all gay. It was like, you know, LGBTQ plus just right there, you know, in the church. And I learned about Bobby through them. Like a few people got up from that side and talked about him, and I was able to learn how, you know, how loved he was and how outgoing, and, you know, they would say phrases that he would say, and it was just like, wow, I feel very sad that I didn't get to know him, because that sounds wonderful, you know. And I think afterwards, there was this couple, I guess he hung out with all the time. We went to their house afterwards, and I was surprised my parents wanted to do that, but we went, and of course, you know, there was another guy there, a young guy, very cute, and of course we were cruising each other at the funeral, because that's what gay people do.
Okay.
And you know, it was, I think I had Grindr at the time, I can't remember, but we found each other on that. We were like sending each other pics or whatever. It never happened because I was just too engulfed with family. There was just no way I was going to be able to pull that off. But even his friends, I think, were a little sweet on me as well, the couple. But, you know, my parents were there, and it was like this weird, awkward thing where, you know, but it was great. They told us a lot more about him and their experience with him, and it was just really great. So I'd like to think that, you know, there's a piece of Bobby in me, because I find myself doing things and saying things that he would say.
Yeah.
So
thank you for sharing that, for naming him here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's part of you. I believe anyway that when we are connected with people who are no longer physically here, sometimes we do channel them in unexpected ways. Sometimes their words, their energy comes out in surprising ways.
Yeah.
So.
And he was very loud, very just like, I just remember when I was around him, I always felt small, not because it was a bad thing. It was just like, I don't know if I'll ever feel that confident in my sexuality to be that like that. So
how about today? Do you feel closer to that?
I feel closer to that now more than ever.
Okay.
There's still a lot of parts of me that I feel are reserved, not because I want to be, but because it's how I was groomed. So it's really about shaking that foundation and getting to the core.
Yeah. If you could go back to 2012, during the Great Depression, and give yourself a piece of advice, what would that be?
Piece of advice. It would be, well, number one, like, everything's gonna be okay. I know that it's bad now, but you'll work through it and you'll survive and you'll get through it. But I think the other thing I would say is that the only currency that you have is yourself, and being that, and unapologetically, and don't dim yourself for other people.
Beautiful. Thank you, Correy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I so appreciate this. Is there anything I haven't asked you that you want to say or want the bathtub audience to know?
We covered a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How is this feeling right now?
It's feeling good.
Do this interview in the bathtub.
No, I love it. This is
Okay.
like, I love this format. It's great.
Thank you.
This is amazing. Very, you know, you don't often get these experiences, so this is really great.
I appreciate that. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you being vulnerable and trusting enough
Yeah.
to come here because we just met in
Yeah.
real life.
This was our first time meeting.
And to share this
Yeah.
with me and with the audience. I
Yeah.
think it is through these conversations that we create dialogue, that we create ideas, that we create community that can help us learn and grow and thrive. Especially in troubled times when the serial killers, metaphorically and politically, are coming for us. That we get through that.
Yes.
We can be the Sydneys together.
Yes, and that's what I constantly look for, is that sense of community, so.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yes.
If people want to keep following your work, see what you're up to, support you when you're entering a contest, what is the best way for them to do that?
I would say through Instagram at Amon Superstar.
Okay, that'll be right down below.
Yes.
So people want to see that.
Yes.
And, if you like this interview, share it with someone you like. And if you don't like it, share it with someone you don't like. But there's about more than 200 of these interviews of people who are seeking ways to live in this turbulent world with a sense of growth, with a sense of learning from our pain.
Yes.
Surviving to see the next day of the next franchise, of the next day. I'm trying to put all that together.
Yes, you're doing a great job. I'm like, oh my God, it's so good.
Thank you, Korrey.
Yes.
Thank you for watching, everybody. Have a great day.